What's going on, people? Welcome to post embrace of Christian nationalism, Know Nothing Attorney stream. And I'm still in time to say that today. What's up? I'm Know Nothing Attorney. I know nothing, so you can too, because it's only in embracing that we know nothing that we can actually learn anything. And that's what I'm here to do every time I'm live. I hope to learn from you, and I hope you can learn along with me. I officially have submitted my debate topics for Saturday, so I will be doing an actual real debate, I guess, like old-fashioned debate. Now, yeah, it's April Fool's Day for another minute, but this is going to be the April Fool's Day stream. But completely separate from that, I'm going to go ahead and switch over here because, you know, I have some newfound opinions to share with you guys. Whoops. We're gonna share some of my beliefs up here on screen over the course of stream. There we go. Just throw that up right there for a second. There we go. There we go. And then let's caveat that. Perfect. This is a Gnostic Christian nation, and always has been. The founding fathers were pneumatics, a higher form of life, closer to the pleroma than the rest of us. They had a greater knowledge of the truth. They had greater gnosis than us. And they were wise to not let Yahweh influence American politics. The separation of church and state is so important to our Christian nationalism. Yahweh can have no part in it. The Federalist ones. The Federalist ones were the pneumatics. The other ones were not. They were sent by the archons, and we know which ones they are. Yeah. We prefer the founding fathers that were sent by the aeons, not those that were sent by the archons, to deliver us gnosis so that America could be the true shining example of Gnosticism to the rest of the world. It will be through us and our work on the global stage that we bring the rest of the world out of this horrifying flesh prison that is the material world. You keep forgetting it was just the 1st of April. Yeah, it is now the 2nd of April, I suppose. But, you know, I gotta have my April 1st stream. Okay, as Maddie said, we have got some interesting news to cover. I'll share some more Gnostic Christian nationalist ideas with you guys later. Y'all are welcome to debate me on these Gnostic Christian beliefs. How are y'all doing this evening? Have a good April 1st. So, Maddie, do you have a favorite take on the SCOTUS story? Thanks, Athena. My favorite version of Christianity is Gnostic Christianity. It's so unintentionally trolly. I just love that one of the first branches of Christianity was like, nah, this Yahweh guy, fuck him. He sucks. Okay, well, let's just start with the top story of the Law subreddit. That'll be fine. Gnostic Christianity, okay, as a quick primer, Gnostic Christianity is like, there was one God, and from God issued many instances of God, different facets of God. And one of those facets of God decided that it wanted to create without being the fullness of God, and in creating created an imperfect being called Yahweh. And Yahweh thought Yahweh was God because it had no ability to see the divinity above him. And then Yahweh saw the creation that was man and got really jealous of it. And so it went, hey, this divine thing that is human, I am going to trap it in a flesh prison because fuck it. It sucks. It will belong to the world that I make now, and it will experience pain and suffering. And so that was the fate of man for generations. And then along came a guy named Jesus, and Jesus had gnosis, the real knowledge, and he came to tell us, hey, this Yahweh God sucks. He just wants to torture you guys. He is a murdering psychopath. Oh yeah, Gnosticism rules. They're like, the entire purpose of your spiritual life is to learn that this is all a lie and escape it. His most greatest, Maddie? We're going back to the moon. Are we really? No way. No way. I can't. Oh my god, this picture. Okay, let's bring this up on screen. Artemis is my favorite goddess. My favorite Greek deity. Who was not a virgin, by the way. Just an eternal maiden. Nah, she got some from Orion for sure. Overbearing brother be damned. Wish we were better at punching Nazis. That's a statement we can all get behind. What's up, little Donnie Fund? Artemis was not a virgin goddess. Don't believe the propaganda. That is a great image to open on. Hey, I will figure this out. Life has just been insane. Little Donnie Fund, was it you who offered to, like, learn me some shit? Go ahead and share the quote, Maddie. Because I know somebody offered to learn me some shit. Yeah. Don't worry, dude. I remember that message, and I will be getting back to you. Like, just all of life behind the scenes is too chaotic to comprehend. But I arrive, and I deliver for you guys. Or wait for the finale. The finale? What is the finale? Like the end of the stream? Or just after we read this story? Humiliated Trump storms out of catastrophic SCOTUS hearing. Dude, it's not even fucking capitalism. It's just, like, babies of people I know, birthdays of people I know, new relationship legal drama, and then all the capitalism on top of that. All right, let's get this Roberts quote. A notable moment occurred during Roberts' questioning about birth tourism. Sauer added that no one knows for sure how common the practice is, but argued that the court faces a new world where billions are one plane ride away from obtaining U.S. citizenship for their children. Roberts responded with the catchphrase of the day, "It's a new world, it's the same Constitution." Originalism. Birth tourism, girl, what the fuck? Like, you think anybody wants to be part of the United States right now? What the fuck? God damn. There are definitely more valuable citizenships to have right now. Lots of us in America going, how the fuck do we get out? Donald Trump abruptly exited the Supreme Court on Wednesday after some of his own conservative justices did not appear convinced by his bid to upend birthright citizenship in America. Go figure, you can't just do it unilaterally. Trump made the unprecedented decision to sit in on oral arguments. What an embarrassment. Staring down, I feel like I say that way too often. Staring down the court's 9 justices as they quizzed his lawyers on one of the most consequential constitutional questions they face this year, whether all children born in the United States can continue to automatically receive citizenship. Now, I am wondering about this phrasing. If I can even, I can't. My mouse just, what's going on, man? What is this? Why, what? This is confusing, y'all. Can't highlight what I want to highlight. There we go. Well, fuck it. Staring down the court's 9 justices? Are we sure he was awake? Does Trump really have the capacity to stare someone down? Especially these days? I'd love to be Irish, Scottish, or Kiwi. Like, are you kidding me? What was the debate topic that we talked about yesterday? Hold on, give me a second. I want to see this. The American right supports affirmative action. I love talking about that. The American right believes in adopting new peoples into the white race. It's affirmative action. You know, you got to have your quotas. Bring more whites in to be white. First, it's I don't remember who came first, the Italians or the Irish. So the Italians and the Irish, and then now Hispanic people get to be white, but we have to label them something different on the census. It's like, you are white, but also, What happens when a gold card new immigrant with Trump's gold immigration card ends up in the U.S. concentration camp in Eswatini? That's affirmative action, though. People come here rather than die. If you have a choice, you don't come here. Yeah. If you ever heard of Ben Franklin's views on the Germans? No, I'm stuck on Ben Franklin's views on old women. I can't ever get past that. I will forget any other quote instantly because nothing can replace that quote about elderly lovers. Can't. About what process do women dry out in? What? Okay, well, that was a short thingy. Let's mute this. Let's hear Gorsuch, of all people.
Do you think Native Americans today are birthright citizens under your test and under your friend's test?
I think so. I mean, obviously they've been granted citizenship by statute.
Put aside the statute. Do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright citizens.
I understand that's what they said, but your test is the domicile of the parents, and that would be the test you'd have us apply today, right?
Yes. So if a tribal Indian, for example, gives up allegiance to...
Born today, birthright citizens.
I think so on our test, yeah. If they're lawfully domiciled here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have to think that through, but
that's my reaction.
I'll
take the yes. That's all right.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now.
Do you think Native
listen to
Americans
that again.
today are birthright citizens under your test and under your friend's test?
I think so. I mean, obviously, they've been granted citizenship by statute.
Okay, first off, how well do you know your test? Oh, I think so. Did he gargle with RFK Jr.'s used Listerine left over in a spit cup? I think he ate RFK Jr.'s ass. Is that how you get this
Beside the
condition?
statute, do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright
I
citizens.
understand that's what they said, but your test is the domicile, what they said. But your test,
By statute.
put aside the statute, do you think they're birthright citizens?
No, I think the clear understanding that everybody agrees in the congressional debates is that the children of tribal Indians are not birthright
I
citizens.
understand that's what they said, but your test is the domicile of the parents, and that would be the test you'd have us apply today, right?
Yes, yes. So if a tribal Indian, for example,
Are
you know,
tribal
gives up
members
allegiance to,
born today birthright citizens?
I think so on our test. Yeah, if they're lawfully domiciled here.
Okay.
I-
And then
I'm not sure. I have to think that through, but
the-
that's my reaction.
I'll take the yes. That's all right.
Support journalism.
One second.
So, I mean, obviously, they've been granted.
Do you think Native Americans today are birthright citizens under your test and under your
What
of
did I
the
just
parents?
hear?
And that would be the test you'd have us apply today, right?
Yes, yes. So if a tribal Indian,
Oh, God. It took me a second, but he's still calling them tribal Indians. Like, I know that is the language of the Constitution, but goddamn, can you please update your language? Goddamn. The idea that in this year anyone in government, yeah, okay, everybody else caught on to it before I did. Can we not be racist? He's okay. I'm ready to out myself a little bit, y'all. When I was a kid, I went to a summer camp in Central Texas. Nobody looked this up. But when I was a kid, I went to a summer camp in Central Texas, and out there, they've got the really horrible tradition of splitting the kids into two different teams and naming those teams after indigenous peoples. Yeah. You know what? Today I will completely denounce and renounce the title I once held as, I'm not going to say which one, that'd be even worse, but renounce the title I once held as the chief of one of the boys' tribes. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. I hate to say. I think a good, safe way to refer to these is to pick tribes that you definitely know these are not. But like the Aztec and the Inca, for instance, if I were to say that I was the Aztec chief in 2005, that would be a role that I once held. This is not an April Fool's thing. This is a real thing. If y'all want to look up Central Texas summer camps, probably not just Texas, probably several other summer camps. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could just like ask an AI this. American summer camps have a tradition of splitting kids into teams and calling them after indigenous peoples. Now, I am now an adult of child having age, and the summers are awful. They're awful because you have to keep working, and your kid has jack shit to do with their time. So here I am thinking, I would love to send my kid to the summer camp that I went to as a kid, where I developed a lot of, life-changing memories. And she went for her first time last year, and she had a wonderful time. And I sat here going, this is bad. I don't like this. I wish they would change this. They are still doing it in 2026. Why are they still doing it in 2026? I don't fucking understand what is so important about this. I'm sure you guys heard about Camp Mystic. Camp Mystic, that where the terrible flood accidents happened last year. Camp Mystic, they have tribes, the Kiowa and the Tonkawa. My sister was the Kiowa tribe captain in her last year as a camper. It is I guess a family tradition. Yeah. What do we have for Maddie here? Oh God. Yeah, see, exactly this. Do not trust the pilgrims. Amen, Wednesday. Also, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. So, imagine me getting increasingly uncomfortable with this. No, Athena, no, it's not an exaggeration. I mean, our costumes weren't that good. We would wear face paint. I wore a fucking headdress in 2005. I thought I had nothing cancelable, but now here I am recounting a story that is very cancelable if we can cancel the behaviors of a 16-year-old, which I think is possible. Yeah. So my daughter asked me to move her from one camp term to another camp term. So I sent an email to camp to a person from the not the founding family. Like, if this camp was founded, I was about to out it again. It was founded many decades ago, and the family who has been in charge of the camp for many decades, and the person I'm emailing has that last name, and I'm just like, no, that's probably the wrong person to ask about this. I'm gonna turn the music back on for a minute. No need to be afraid, just people are disappointing. And before I start the story, let me go ahead and update this. There we go. There you go. New Gnostic nationalism belief dropped. Oh, misspelling. Whoops. There we go. No more marriage. Okay. So I send an email asking to move terms, and then I go, you know what? I'm gonna send another email. Hey, so I know this whole tradition thing is important to camp. Camp's been around a long time, and I respect the storied history of camp and all, so I might be sending a bit of an annoying parent email, but hey, what's the deal? A second email has hit the camp. What's the deal with the whole tribe thing, guys? It's 2026. And I at least want to make 2 points. The first is, why are we choosing real peoples who are modern peoples, have people living today within the borders of our country? And we are using an imagined, fictionalized version of these real peoples to wage pretend war against each other as children. That's kind of weird, right? But second, you have a bunch of wealthy parents sending their kids to camp to have a closer connection with the outdoors, to get in touch with a more natural version of themselves. And you are associating that with real peoples, disenfranchised peoples, who have been fetishized for their connection to nature and have a history of being called things like savage and uncivilized. What's with that? Have there been any conversations about changing that? And if not, can you explain to me what's so important about that aspect of the tradition at camp? They were so mad, Athena, that they just didn't respond. They didn't even respond to me requesting to change what term my daughter was coming to. Like, literally changing the dates and the payment total for sending her to camp. What's the deal with airplane food and racist tribal naming schemes? Yeah, so they just completely ignored it. And a few weeks went by, and I went, okay, so the person with the last name that's important didn't respond. Let me email the camp director, who I know, he was a counselor back when I was a camper. Let me email him and be like, hey, you know me. What the fuck, dude? He fucking ignored me. He's known me for decades. He ignored me. I left 2 voicemails. Neither one was responded to. I'm over here going, hey guys, I'm literally trying to just pay for my daughter to finish paying for my daughter to go to camp. Can y'all at least talk to me about that? I finally got in touch with him yesterday over the phone. And wow, has it never dawned on me so hard that these people are just from Podunk, Texas. Because that conversation gave me such a fucking headache. My God. The woman who answered was the person whose family has owned the camp for generations now. And she heard me out as if like she had not read my email before. I had to explain everything again. And she heard me out and was like, I just don't understand how we're hurting anybody. And I was like, do you really need me to explain it a second time? A third time, actually? I need to explain a third time how this is harmful. Okay, I mean, I'll explain it again. And she was like, but I don't, like, we've had Native American people come do stuff at camp. They made the headdresses for us. They made the headdresses, and we asked them if there was anything offensive that we were doing, and none of them said ever that they were offended. And I was like, all right, well, and at least, I'll put it this way, it assuages my mind a little bit that you have asked somebody if they were offended. At least that you say you've done that. But let me say, have you reached out to anybody from the Aztec tribe, the Inca tribe, the Mayan tribe, or what's another one? The Pueblos? Have you reached out to those 4 that you claim to represent here at this camp and asked them how they feel about it? Like, I don't know who you fucking asked, but did you make sure that they represent those nations? And she was like, no, but like, I don't know how we would. I don't know how we would do that. Like, oh, it really seems like you put a lot of effort into this, like actually making sure that you are not perpetuating harmful stereotypes and making sure that you have partnership in education with these peoples in this horrible thing that you're continuing to do. Okay. And she's like, I don't understand, like, how is this offensive in any way? And I'm just like, okay, let me try to explain it to you another way. Can you imagine if we named one of the boys' teams the Chinese people? And then we came up with songs and like routines and face paint and gear and stories And these are all centered around this idea that the boys came up with about the Chinese people. I can imagine that that would not be great. It would really not be good. I mean, heck, let's hit your pocketbook. Let's call one of the boys' tribes the Mexican people. Because a lot of your kids here come from wealthy families in Mexico. Let's see how that goes. I imagine it would not be great. But I didn't say the Mexican one. All I said was the Chinese one. And she goes, that doesn't make any sense. Because like the people that we represent here at camp are like local to our community. Like they actually have a history. I was like, I'll use a fake name. Dana? I don't think it matters how far away these people were. I don't think if they're far away or they're close, I don't think it matters. And she's like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. But like, can you at least tell me like how we're calling them savage? I'm like, Dana, I didn't say you were. She's like, well then how are we acting savage? I'm like, Dana, I didn't say anything about that. And she's like, I just don't understand. Like, we just want the kids to have like a positive experience with friendship and fellowship and learning and all in an environment where they can have a closer relationship with the outdoors. I'm like, Dana, that's fantastic. I love every bit of what you just said. I just don't see how tribes come into it. You mean in the United States of America, we have only one nation under God? Oh, that brings me around. You know, let's go ahead and change this one more time. You know, that was fun and all, but let's do 3. No. What am I? Oh my God. There, thank you. I couldn't remember the fucking name of the nonsense. There we go. Yeah, I agree at the end. Christianity does keep getting weirder. Like they think that like Jesus loves Yahweh or something, or they think that Jesus is Yahweh. Christianity is so weird these days. Friendship doesn't necessitate racism, Dana. Can I be in a room for 45 minutes alone with a hammer? Yeah, I ended up ending that conversation with you know, Dana, I just don't think this conversation is a good one to have over the phone. So, at this point, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take step 1, which I imagine will result in multiple non-responses. But I understand that multiple indigenous nations here have like education offices or like public-facing offices to help with this kind of thing, at least to have like a public voice for things like this. And I want to reach out to them and be like, hey, I have this like relationship with camp. Like it was a big deal to me, and I have a close relationship with it, and my kid is now going here. Like, they proclaim to represent your nation among others. Is there a way that they can continue to like do whatever it is that they're trying to do in a more respectful way, or a way that they can re-gear this in a way that respects your nation and its heritage? And if there is, not to say that there is a respectful way to do this, Would you like to have any kind of voice involved in that? Because I would love to help promote that. Can we just use Lord of the Rings ethnic groups? Yeah, there's D&D groups here. We're gonna do goblins versus kobolds. Hell yeah. Those things are fucking feral. Let's go. Christianity keeps getting weird. No racism, only Zool. If you want really weird and wild Christianity, check out the various past heresies. Shit got wild. Can we clap for them being racist? Or just use animals? Yeah, that's the thing that people keep suggesting. Like, why aren't they just using animals? I don't understand. I'm like, yeah. Like, literally the symbol of my quote-unquote tribe was a bird of prey. Like, just do that. Just call them falcons. Goddamn. Sure, yeah, or like, get the teams together and have like a referendum on what animal they want to pick for the term. I'm sure that'll get really interesting every time. Do like shit sandwich versus what? Was it douche? Douche versus shit sandwich? Alright. So that was my horribly cancelable story. There definitely is not a picture of me anywhere in the world with a fucking fake native headdress on. That does not exist. That was one of the worst of the early episodes, I think, Maddie. Yeah. Good luck, Athena. Good luck trying to find it. The thing that doesn't exist. I just told you it doesn't exist. Wait, no, not politics. I'm going back to law. There we go. Trump has discussed ousting Attorney General Pam Bondi. I wanted to focus on Supreme Court. See if we can find any other audio. That'd be great. Don't worry, if I find that picture, I won't share it with anyone but you. That's assuming that I don't already have it somewhere. That did so much damage. The South Park episode did? Or are you just talking about in terms of it like perpetuating both sidesism? Oh God, I don't even know what you're talking about, little Donnie Fund. What happened? Oh, okay, here's more.
Concept that creates allegiance. That's
General,
General,
so
you
can I?
said in your reply brief that the children of slaves who were brought here unlawfully, in defiance of laws forbidding the slave trade, would in fact be citizens. And we can imagine that their parents were not only brought here in violation of United States law, but were here against their will, and so maybe felt allegiance to the countries where they were from. And you say that the purpose of the 14th Amendment was to put all slaves on equal footing, newly freed slaves on equal footing, and so they would be citizens. But that's not textual. So how do you get there? You say it in just a few sentences, so can you elaborate?
Sure. If you look at I think if you look at the 19th century sources, what you see is that even though their entry may have been unlawful, 19th century antebellum law never treated their presence as unlawful. In fact, quite the opposite. One of the
Okay, that's just Amy Coney Barrett dropping a that's not textual. Okay. Woo! Hitting them with the hard ones. Supreme Court rules against what we got here? Supreme Court rules against Colorado ban on conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus kids. Oh, God damn it. Gen X is absolutely obsessed with checking out and refusing to do anything to help out or better the world. Yeah, you weren't cool unless you didn't care. John, drink water, please. Did it end? That was such bullshit. Oh yeah, that clip. Yeah, that clip ended. It's just Amy Coney Barrett saying, "Yeah, but that argument isn't textual. How do you get there?" Well, thank you for asking me, Your Honor. The Supreme Court on Tuesday ruled against a law banning. Oh, shut up. Supreme Court on Tuesday ruled against a law banning conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus kids in Colorado, one of about 24 states that ban the discredited practice. One of about 24. An 8-1 high court majority sided with a Christian counselor who argues the law banning talk therapy violates the First Amendment. The justices agreed that the law raises free speech concerns and sent it back to a lower court to decide if it meets a legal standard that few laws pass. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the court, said the law censors speech based on viewpoint. Not on viewpoint, Justice. It's not based on viewpoint. It's based on a demonstration of harm. They basically started the overturn of the ban on conversion therapy. It might just be a matter of time until it's completely legal. It's brought up by the patient. God. The First Amendment, he wrote, stands as a shield against any effort to enforce orthodoxy in thought or speech in this country. There are certain treatments that we deny people the right to have. I'm sorry, may I just go take shrooms for my PTSD? Whenever I want, wherever I want, under any circumstances? Is that the standard we're setting now? I like this idea of, take whatever, treatment you decide is right for you, or your own. First Amendment, he wrote, stands as a shield against any effort to enforce orthodoxy in thought or speech in this country. Gorsuch's opinion drew support from liberal justices Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor. A state could similarly not ban talk therapy designed to affirm a minor's sexual orientation or gender identity, Kagan wrote. No, you would have to demonstrate harm. Once again, because the state has suppressed one side of a debate while aiding the other, the constitutional issue is straightforward, she wrote. God, is it really that hard? Orthodoxy? That's literally the medical establishment. In a solo dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote that states should be free to regulate health care, even if that means incidental restrictions on speech. The decision, Jackson wrote, opens a dangerous can of worms that threatens to impair states' ability to regulate the provision of medical care in any respect. Wow, who delivered the oral arguments in this? Goddamn. The decision is the latest in a line of recent cases in which the justices have backed claims of religious discrimination while taking a skeptical view of LGBTQ plus rights. Counselor Kaylee Childs, with support from President Donald Trump's Republican administration, said the law wrongly bars her from offering voluntary faith-based therapy for kids. Childs contends her approach is different from conversion therapy practices from decades ago, like shock therapy. Her attorneys argue that the ban makes it hard for parents to find therapists willing to discuss gender identity with kids unless the counseling affirms transition. Well, are we differentiating? Is there a standard to differentiate talk therapy from conversion therapy? I look forward to being able to help them when they choose the goal of growing comfortable with their bodies, Childs said in a statement. Counselors walking alongside these young people shouldn't be limited to promoting state-approved goals like gender transition, which often leads to harmful drugs and surgeries. Yo, what the fuck? Substantiate the claim, please? Harmful drugs? Young people shouldn't be limited to being informed on their medical decisions, which often leads to surgeries. Can you listen to how how fucking insane you sound? Like, doctors walking alongside these young people shouldn't be limited to explaining the medical procedures to the children, which often leads to surgery. What the fuck are you talking about? If I start a right to have a different religious viewpoint class in Washington, and I tried to preach Islam to those kids, will the First Amendment protect that? I'm not sure I understand your question based on how you wrote it, garlic bread. If I start a right to have a different religious viewpoint class in Washington, so you have a class about having a right to have a different religious viewpoint, and you try to preach Islam to those kids, will the First Amendment protect that? Is it an elective class? Is it a secondary education class? There are more things at issue here. Colorado disagrees, saying its law does allow wide-ranging conversations about gender identity and sexual orientation and exempts religious minority ministries. Jesus, Austin. Transition is one of the lowest regret procedures, especially surgeries. Yeah, no shit. Like, knee replacement surgery has higher regret rates. They just want to force people to be miserable if they're not cishet. Yeah. For real. A refusal to provide gender affirming care is gender abusive care, and we should start calling it that. No joke. There you go, guys. Continuing to update you on my Gnostic nationalist beliefs. First, abolish marriage. Also, abolish gender and sex. If this weren't bad enough, my state has 2 bans for trans youth. It's gross. 2 bans for trans youth. My favorite thing, it had no impact, but I got to get a little chuckle. I think it was 2024. The Louisiana legislature passed, let's just imagine, Section 110 subsection A of the state law. They passed one that was like, no school shall engage with any program that discusses gender, blah 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 blah, which was a problem for my the section of the world that I touch, because a program that I helped facilitate for certain other programs was the use of a reporting tool, like an online reporting tool, and the reporting tool asked about students' gender. And because of that, the people running the program were freaking out, because suddenly they had to dismantle their entire framework for reporting for this program, because they had to go find and use a different reporting tool, and then have everyone adopt that. they ended up doing it anyway. But the really funny thing, so the Republicans passed this Section 110A that said, fuck, gender ideology. But later in the same legislative session, they passed Section 110A that said schools are banned from DEI practices. Now, the impact of that was to have a Section 110A and then have a Section 110A, and you can only have one of those at a time. And I was like, wow, y'all were in such a rush to be bigots that you actually did something woke and revoked your own statute that was anti-gender identity. Good job, Republicans. You went in a full circle. Medical research for people with uteruses is basically like, the clitoris was imaged in 2005? Holy shit. It's not that hard to get, guys. And like, imagine my confusion, like, coming into my sexual education, when having first learned what the clitoris was vaguely from the South Park movie, and there was a whole joke about having to find it, and I was like, wait, what is the joke about finding it? I am so confused. Do people really not know where it is? Y'all have lost me. Y'all have lost me. Guys just really suck that bad. My gender is awful. Okay, this is a dangerous practice that has been condemned by every major medical association in the country. Today's decision does not change the science, and it does not change the fact that conversion therapists who harm patients will still face legal consequences. Polly Crozier, Director of Family Policy at Glad Law, said in a statement. The 2019 law carries the possibility of fines and license suspension, but no one has been sanctioned under it. The ruling is expected to eventually make similar laws in other states unenforceable. Childs was represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom, a conservative legal organization that has appeared frequently at the court in recent years. The group also represented a Christian website designer who successfully challenged Colorado anti-discrimination law because she didn't want to work for same-sex couples. So far, based on this article, it sounds like the court overruled the ban of talk therapy, but quote-unquote conversion therapy is still... You can still ban that? A little confused on that. If Trump was trying to intimidate the Supreme Court on birthright citizenship, it backfired miserably. I can tell chat was just enthralled with my discussion on anatomy. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I haven't even opened the article yet. I just want to circle back and just say, guys, just do better. Do better. On Wednesday, Donald Trump became the first sitting president to attend Supreme Court arguments in person. What an embarrassment. It must have been a brutal morning for him. The justices heard Trump v. Barbara, a challenge to the executive order purporting to strip birthright citizenship from the children of many immigrants, and it quickly shaped up to be a blowout against the administration. 7 justices expressed profound skepticism toward the government's revisionist history of the 14th Amendment, with most sounding downright hostile toward the pseudo-originalist theory cooked up to legitimize the policy. Only Justices Clarence Thomas Boo. And Samuel Alito, boo. Asked questions friendly to the administration, and none of their colleagues sounded persuaded by their strained defenses. It appears that Trump's attack on birthright citizenship, in some ways the centerpiece of his nativist immigration agenda, is about to go down in flames. From the outset, the justices gave Trump's Solicitor General, John Sauer, a frosty reception. He pressed an ahistorical, atextual theory. That's how you do... Thank you, Slate. That is how you do actual reporting. Don't, like, legitimize it in any degree. Secular God fuck Thomas and Alito. True Gnostic God fuck Thomas and Alito. And Yahweh. Ha. His theory of the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause, which declares that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Wow, that's so hard to read and understand. The clause's central purpose was to grant citizenship to newly freed slaves and their children. When ratifying the amendment in 1868, however, Congress explicitly recognized that it would also apply to the American-born offspring of immigrants. The Supreme Court affirmed that principle in 1898's Wong Kim Ark, and ever since, these children have received U.S. citizenship at birth regardless of their parents' immigration status. Nonetheless, Trump issued an executive order on his first day back in the office, unconstitutionally ordering the government to deny citizenship to the children of immigrants who lack permanent legal status and temporary visa holders. Sauer tried to rewrite the 14th Amendment's history with the aid of recent scholarship, parsing the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. He claimed that the Citizenship Clause only applies to the children of parents who owed direct and immediate allegiance to the United States. That's not what jurisdiction means. And that Wong Kim Ark applied only to those who were domiciled here. It's not what jurisdiction means. The children of temporary visitors, including immigrants, would not receive citizenship under this theory, both because their parents owed allegiance to a foreign power and were not truly domiciled in this country. I don't think you can determine what the parents' allegiance is. I think that's up to the parents. Huh? This theory is entirely false. Thank you, Slate. Based on hastily assembled academic work that's riddled with errors and lies. And a majority of the justices recognized it. Chief Justice John Roberts openly scoffed at Sauer's efforts to broaden the Citizenship Clause's acknowledged exceptions, which applied to the children of diplomats, enemy soldiers, and at the time of ratification, native people outside the federal government's jurisdiction. The Solicitor General sought to expand these tiny and idiosyncratic classes to cover a big group of immigrants today, Roberts noted. Can this narrow exception really be stretched so far? She also highlighted the unworkable nature of the government's proposal. If a child's citizenship hinges on a parent's domicile, she told Sauer, then you have to adjudicate both residency and intent to stay. But how do you do that? And what about foundlings, children with no known parents, who are well known to the ratifiers of the 14th Amendment? Sauer assured her that Trump's executive order addressed the situation, to which she responded, yeah, but what about the Constitution? Nice. Oh, Amy Coney Barrett actually dropping a bomb. I love that one. That one was good. That's actually a good question from a judge. Justice Brett Kavanaugh as well came out of the gate poking holes in Sauer's argument. That these two had to really piss Trump off today. That's beautiful. You love to see it. Oh, nope. Gotta update that. I believe 5. No creationism or evolution in the classroom. I hate that in this climate, we're actively trying to strip children, let alone other humans, of citizenship. And food, Athena. Don't forget, and food. And healthcare. And fucking, childcare. No childcare, no healthcare, no food, no citizenship. Fuck children. I mean, not that way, but Trump would do that too. Justice Brett Kavanaugh as well came out of the gate poking holes in Sauer's argument. The Solicitor General, he noted, kept saying that the Civil Rights Act of 1866 denied birthright citizenship to children who were subject to any foreign power, and he sought to import this limitation into the 14th Amendment. But the framers of the Citizenship Clause did not import... Wow, that's just a complete backwards understanding of the supremacy of the Constitution versus federal law. What? Oh, and no soda on food stamps. It's importance. So important. Don't you know if you feed children on food stamps, they won't yearn for the mines? They don't need calories. Ugh, they don't need calories to work on the large machines that our red states are now allowing children to work on. But the framers of the Citizenship Clause did not import those words into the text of their amendment, Kavanaugh said. Congress made the affirmative decision to broaden its grant of birthright citizenship from the earlier statute. So why should the court now impose a restriction that does not appear anywhere in the Constitution? Kavanaugh was also unimpressed by Sauer's reminder that most European countries do not recognize birthright citizenship. Why, he asked, was that even relevant? Yes! Yes, Kavanaugh! Yes! How are Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh making good points in oral arguments on birthright citizenship? What the fuck is happening? We try to interpret American law with American precedent based on American history. That's certainly what I try to do. Why should we be thinking about, gee, European countries don't have this? That's the only time Kavanaugh has heard the word yes. Wow. Wow, Athena. I revoke my yes and say, you did it, Kavanaugh. You did it. You certainly did it. You did it, and they did not like it. With all three liberal justices openly opposed to Trump's executive order already, it is easy to count 5 votes here. Really, it is easy to count 7. Only Justice Thomas and Alito sounded genuinely convinced by any of Sauer's arguments. Thomas suggested that the 14th Amendment marked an effort to overturn Dred Scott and therefore applied only to freed slaves. Thanks, Thomas. Alito implied that the Citizenship Clause should exclude immigrants who lack permanent legal status because they can be arrested and deported and therefore lack true domicile here. That's also not part of the... It's not part of the amendment text? He also conceived a laughable hypothetical wherein an Iranian citizen gave birth here, and their child was subject to the laws of Iran, and so had a duty to serve in Iran's military, with the apparent implication that the child would emerge 18 years later as a sleeper agent. The one wrinkle here is Kavanaugh. He also seemed keenly interested in the statutory argument against the administration. Congress, he reminded both Sauer and Wong, enshrined the Citizenship Clause into federal law in 1940 and 1952. By that point, lawmakers appeared to have understood this provision to cover the children of all immigrants, no matter their parents' status. Couldn't the court issue a narrow ruling against Trump based on that statute and leave the constitutional question for another day? Cool. Well, I hope that you guys have learned a little bit about the true Christianity this evening. If nothing else, I hope that's what you've taken away from this. Your reality is a prison of pain and suffering. Your body is not you. You are merely trapped within it. By Yaldabaoth, the blind god, the fool, the lion with the serpent's tail, the green serpent, the lion swallowing the sun, Yaldabaoth, Yahweh himself. He wants nothing but bad things for you. And it is Christ, the teacher, who teaches us that the only true salvation comes in realizing that this is a lie. All of it. And therefore, we should have no marriage in America, no creationism or evolution in the classroom, absolute separation of church and state to keep Yahweh out of our political processes. And I don't remember what else. This sounds like something H.P. Lovecraft wrote. Yaldabaoth is very Lovecraftian in nature. And the worst part about my theology, my newfound theology, is once you realize that the world you live in is part of Yaldabaoth's lie, is how do you know that the truth you found is not also part of the lie? Another layer of the prison you are trapped within. It is serpent, lion, flesh prisons all the way down. Flesh prison is just a fun term. It's a good time. Good times had by all. Okay, Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth, get out of here. Okay, next time y'all see me, I will have started my debate prep. I haven't figured out what topic I'm going to be debating on Saturday, but I will be debating. Hopefully I'll be debating on the topic of what personhood begins at conception. That's a good, fun one. There's no basis for that belief. No basis. Plenty of bases. Yeah. But I'll be back Friday night so that we can have some fun before my debate on Saturday. I'm No Nothing Attorney. I know nothing, so you can too. Because it's only in embracing that we know nothing that we can learn anything. And that's what I aim to do here every time I'm live. I hope to learn with you guys and hope you can learn along with me. And as always, I'm proud of you. I don't need to know you personally for that to be real. It's true and you deserve to hear it. If only because life is hard. It's always been hard and it always will be hard. But the way you face each and every single day, the way you do, is remarkable. So stay remarkable. I'll see y'all Friday night. Hopefully we can get another debate. Last Monday night was kind of a debate. Not particularly much of one. But it's fun when we get to engage with weirdos and righties. Not that those are that different. All right, guys. Good night. Y'all have some good rest. Monday was cooked. It was wild. But those are fun too. Those are fun too. Gotta talk to our weird folk. Satanic Temple wins historic Baphomet versus Ten Commandments monument. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's a little too on point. In Arkansas. Good old Baphomet. Actually, an alchemical entity. Alchemy up in here. Arkansas. Maddie, this your Kansas? Or Arkansas? Satanic Temple wins historic Baphomet v. 10 Commandments Monument case in Arkansas. In a 148-page ruling, Jesus Christ. Please don't make anybody read that in law school. Chief United States District Judge Christine G. Baker ruled in favor of plaintiffs' motions for summary judgment in the matter of Cave et al. V. Jester, colloquially known as the Baphomet case in Arkansas. The Satanic Temple enjoined its case with First Amendment Establishment Clause claims filed by the American Humanist Association, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers. In short, Arkansas had erected a Ten Commandments monument privately donated to the state on its Capitol grounds in Little Rock, prompting the Satanic Temple to offer a private donation of their Baphomet monument to likewise be displayed at the Capitol, arguing that the Arkansas government is legally bound to act neutrally in regard to religious viewpoint. Fuck yes. Attaway Satanic Temple. If Arkansas was to accept a Ten Commandments monument, they were obligated to accept the Baphomet. Arkansas denied the Baphomet monument, and a long legal battle ensued. The court finds that TST was prevented from competing with Christianity on an equal footing for placement of its Baphomet monument on state capitol grounds, and rules that Arkansas Secretary of State Jester, in his official capacity as Arkansas Secretary of State, together with his agents, servants, and employees, and all those persons in active concert or participation with him, must remove immediately from the state capitol grounds the Ten Commandments monument mandated by the Display Act, Arkansas Code, annotated 22-3-221. Must remove? What? The court specifically stays the execution of this portion of the injunction, requiring the removal of the Ten Commandments monument, pending the final disposition of any timely appeal to the Eighth Circuit. Why remove the Ten Commandments statue and not allow both? The long road to victory began 8 years ago, and our Baphomet monument has since become a prevalent popular cultural symbol of Satanism, not only for practitioners of the religion, but for artists, news outlets, conspiracy theorists, and even a conspiracy theory-based dictatorship fighting a non-existent war against an imaginary Satanist insurrection. The monument's image has appeared in debates about church-state separation, in international news, graphic novels, music videos, television shows, and bootleg merchandise, becoming an entrenched symbol of the ongoing conflict between theocratic domination and pluralistic liberal democracy. As protesters marched the streets during 2020, the Confederate monuments fell. Popular right-wing memes would juxtapose images of demolished public statues alongside an image of the Baphomet with a message along the lines of, if they can destroy these historic memorials, we should be able to destroy this. Fortunately, and despite the fact that we are not at all secretive about the fact that the Baphomet monument resides within our headquarters in Salem, Massachusetts, the low-quality minds propagating this call to destruction were erroneously convinced that Baphomet sat in some public area in Detroit or Little Rock, drawing on memories of our 2015 unveiling ceremony in Detroit and the subsequent rally in Little Rock, in which we hauled Baphomet to the state capitol to call for government viewpoint neutrality against a wave of theocratic assaults against the right of freedom from religion. Wow. Troll! Let's go. Okay, and with that, I'll actually wrap it. Okay, good night, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Rest well.